Good morning, everyone. It's 9 o'clock, so we'll get started. And if you have a tendency to come and go, that'd be fine too. But grab yourself a cup of coffee and a cookie. Somebody asked where the water was today, and today it's in the fountain. So we may have some bottled water here next time around, but we never went through a lot of water, so it was coffee. So you're good Dutch people, most of you. So coffee's always good. I'd like to introduce some folks first. We'll start with the board members that are here, and immediately to my right we have Don Van Duzelaar. He is the chairman of the board. Jim Huck is next to him. Jim is the secretary of the board. Jenny Hager is next to Jim, and she is the treasurer of the board. And Chad Ostrom is next to Jenny. Chad is an incumbent board member, has been on this year, and he is running again for next year, so we'll let him say a word. And then Ellen Carpenter is coming up, and she is also a director on the board and has been for a year. Are there any folks here, I know there are, that are running for the board? Would you please come on up, Larry, and give us your name, your site number, and why you're running.
Because I want to serve on the board. I'm Larry Munger. I'm a D161. I've been in the park for more than 36 years. And I love this place, and I feel that it's time for me to give back some of my time to help the park run itself in an efficient manner.
All right. Thank you, Larry. Anybody else? Come on up. I have not met you. I'm Gene. Darlene?
I've always wanted to meet you.
Well, I'm in the office a lot. But no, thanks, Darlene.
Great.
Go on up and say who you are. And
Great. Good morning, everybody. I'm Darlene DeWitt. My husband, Dale, you can't miss him. He's in the bright orange. And I told him, I said, there's so many guys here that wear the bright orange. I want you to have a shirt like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we hail from Holland, and we live Phase 2, Lot 567. And you're going to read all about me in the July footprints. And I think I told you just about everything that you ever wanted to know about me in that, so be sure and get a copy. And I'm running for board. I'm new to Sandy Pines. What people don't know is for the past 10 years, we've been out here. We have friends that live here, and we've been looking. I think we've looked at every trailer for sale in this park. And I know Kathy was just like when she would see Darlene DeWitt coming through, she'd be like, oh my God, where's my Excedrin? But anyway, we finally, 2017, June, bought a place, and we absolutely love it. So it was a lot of just looking, thinking, planning, praying, and it finally worked out for us. So we're happy for that. Dale and I do not have any children, and we are recently petless, so now we're just enjoying this new freedom of our life. And I'm running for board because, like I said, I'm new to Sandy Pines, and I just feel like I've got, fresh eyes, maybe some new ideas, and I don't know a lot of the other stuff. So I would just like everybody to get to know me. If you have any specific questions you'd like to ask me, I'd be happy to answer those for you. I still currently work full-time, so I'm not able to be out here during the week as much as I'd like to. So we're pretty much here on the weekends, but certainly not limited to any like board meetings or situations that would be going on during the week. I'm pretty flexible with my time.
Good.
Okay? Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Darlene. This person that just walked in, if you don't know her, that's Kimberly Williams. She's our CFO. So welcome, Kimberly. Anyone else? Chad, would you like to say anything?
Sure. Hi, I'm Chad Ostrom. I've been here for a long time, and leading back into the 70s. And as with most of you, this is my happy place. When I was 14 years old, I ran away from home and came here and stayed here for a week. My father was a high-ranking official in the state police, and they had helicopters out looking for me and the whole works. So I eventually went home on my own, and I spent as much time here as I can. I'm running for the board. I had great support last year, and I hope that I have the same support this year. My agenda is for the people of Sandy Pines. I don't have a personal agenda. I really have a great appreciation for the board that we have on staff right now. And my agenda is to work with them to do what's best for all of you. So, when the time comes, choose Chad.
Thank you. Is any other board members want to share anything? No? Okay. All right. Then I would say that we are open for business. I want to, speaking of business, want to make sure that we mention the sponsors today is Bachheisen Landscaping and BHG Insurance out of Door. I thought I saw Bert here. Are you here, Bert? Yes. You want to say a word or two? Do your own advertisement? Huh? And he's been very faithful at that, so I hope we support you as well. So thank you. Yeah. And Rob for all you guys do here to make the place look beautiful. Anybody got anything open? This is an open forum, so it's informal. You can bring up anything that's on your mind, or you don't want to just listen to me for 2 hours. So feel free to ask questions, comments, anything you got. We have a roaming microphone, so okay. Anybody?
I would like to thank the maintenance department for keeping the spillway relatively clean of debris so we can establish a normal lake level. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Sure, yeah, it's been a challenge the last few years with the water levels, as it is all around the Great Lakes. So too as it's here. So we have a company coming in July that's going to do a lake and watershed and fishery review, and we hope to learn some things this time around that are new to us that didn't come up the last time we had this done. It was by a different company, but nonetheless the erosion and the water level that comes with or the water level that comes with erosion has been a concern. We had a couple people call my office again this week, and we understand it. However, we've been advised never, unless it's a situation where the dam could be breached, to never let water out of the dam. So we don't plan on lowering the lake level artificially by opening up the gates. Although both gates are in now, and they're working great. So that was a big project that was taken care of by our local contractor. So we're appreciative of that. Thanks, Bob. Yes.
I saw the drawings on the table. I really like what I'm seeing there. I wonder if you could give us an update as far as a timeline.
Sure. Thank you for bringing that up. There are drawings. If you haven't seen the North Shore Center, there are drawings and some artist renderings on the table back there. Right now, we are finalizing the drawings. You won't see the difference, but those two drawings are two consecutive drawings from 2 weeks apart. We have a meeting every 2 weeks. So there's some subtle differences in the two, but not much. At this point, it's pretty much drawn. So the invitations for bids, I believe, Ellen, is that, and Chad, is that around July, August? July, August, the bids will go out. Both Chad and Ellen are on that committee. And construction will probably start when folks leave, October. And the completion date is, the goal is to complete it by June of 2021. That's going to be our 50th anniversary. So we want it in July, so we would like to have that building done and open, so we can have an open house there as well. It's going to be a stand-up concrete building. So once the walls start going up, it won't take long to look like a building. So, but what do you think of the building? Yeah. We're pleased with it too. So it'll be very, very useful. We have a vacuum of meeting spaces here in the park for clubs and committees. It's not unusual for people to use my office or Kimberly's office to meet, and there's only a few spaces that are this size that will hold this many people. So it will be a building that will be used a lot and in a lot of different ways. So we're looking forward to having that amenity here in the park. So thank you. Anything else? Yeah.
I have not looked at the drawings, but from what I understand that an indoor pool is not involved. Have they completely ruled out an indoor pool in the future, or is there talk of it or a possibility, or?
Oh, you're right. There's no pool in a storm shelter building. That doesn't apply. So, but as far as is there going to be a pool in the future, that of course is up to the members. But if you look at the drawings, there's a master drawing, and there's this building that's going up now, and then there's a spot for 2 other buildings on either side of it. We have room for 3 phases on that spot. So one of them is labeled an indoor pool, and I think that I'm pretty confident that at some point the membership's going to want an indoor pool there. So, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Anybody, anything else? Boy, you're a pretty quiet group here this morning.
You're going to have to get a mic down. Since Gene has announced his retirement, I understand you have a committee going to set the criteria and then search for a new president. I'd like to know what criteria you're starting to look at, and what do you expect out of a new president?
We want a duplicate of Gene Vancouver. So, no, what we have done is assembled the job description that has been created some time ago for that position. And so those that are interested will certainly get a copy of that. And also some may have an interest in looking further and looking at the rules, for example, in the bylaws. But we want to find someone who has some experience in leadership, working with people, working with members. So yeah, if you look at the way in which Gene has conducted himself and the way he has assembled a team and the financial position that the park is in, we want to maintain that. We want to keep that for the future. So we will go through a rather tight screening process to make sure that the next person has those skills.
I would only add to that there were a number of reasons that I felt it was time for me to move on, and one of them was one of them that I felt was a quality reason was that we currently have a board that has proven itself to be very faithful to the betterment of Sandy Pines. We have a board that is common sense, that is willing to debate and willing to come to consensus and willing to reason together and then vote, and then after the vote they speak as one voice. That's not always been the case, and so I felt very confident in this board to do exactly what Don was explaining to you, and I appreciate this board for allowing me the ability to be comfortable with passing on the torch, because this is not my park. This is their park, your park, and I'm sure that you're going to find someone that is going to be a quality individual and have the best interest of the park and with the skills needed to do the job. Anybody else? Well, let's have an advertisement for Bachheisen's Landscaping again. No, it's great to see all you here, and we are appreciative of folks like Bert and BGH out of Door, because these are important meetings. I believe I learn more out of these meetings than I think the people that attend them. So it's been a very good experience for me. We started out this program 6 years ago, I believe, and it began as going to each phase individually, and I really enjoyed that. The attendance has been better, and the weather is always consistent inside this building. So this is a good format or venue to put it in. But I do miss going to each phase because, as I told someone yesterday, each phase has their own personality and has their own wishes and wants and desires, and that was a good experience for me. But this gives us an opportunity for everybody to meet together and to hear each other. We have management meetings every 2 weeks in the company, and from all different departments, and that's how I look at this as a management meeting, where you bring all the departments together, or in this case, all the members from every phase together, as much as you can, and you discuss issues that may be pertinent only to one phase, but it affects other phases and may affect them positively, may not. But it's a good format and forum to discuss such issues. So I hope I appreciate you coming to these, and the more we have, the more cookies I need, and we're good with that. So. Come on in, folks. Hi, George.
You have a question?
Good.
You have a question?
Do you grab coffee and a cookie? Sign up if you haven't signed up for an ice cream certificate. We give $5 ice cream certificates away every face-to-face. So sign up for that, and it doesn't have to be one per site. It can be you and your spouse can both sign up if you're both here. So. If you just got here, Bachheisen's, the landscaping, and BHG Insurance out of Door are sponsoring today. So we encourage you to do business with those folks. And there's prints on the back, in the back of the new building facility that's going on the North Shore. Coffee and cookies up here. So feel free to do that. We're looking for somebody that's got a question.
Right
George,
here.
you got a question?
I don't have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a disappointment, I guess you would call it. For many years, we had been able to have our payments to Sandy Pines taken out of our, automatically taken out of our checking account. That ended last summer. I have many other, all of my utilities are set up that way. I don't understand why this organization cannot do that.
A few years ago, we switched the point of sale system that we work with, and the system that we work with has a provider that does the automatic payments is out of California, and they had told us because of our setup and the size and the structure that they would not support it without personal information of the owners. We are a separate type of organization. Our owners are the members. So we weren't able to provide that information, and so as of this point, we do not have a provider that is allowing us that information. We're looking at that, but what I've encouraged members to do is work with their banks. It's the same thing I do, is working with the bank to do an automatic through your own bank, and it's actually you taking the responsibility of making sure you know what payments are coming out to. So rather than us just pulling the funds from your account. But you can do a recurring with your own bank, and if you need help setting that up, I'm happy to assist in that. I can give you the information for your bank to do that directly to us, and I've helped quite a few members through that as well. So it was a disappointment to us too, but not being able to provide them the information and them not allowing us like in the past. Unfortunately, it's the world we live in today, where there's a lot more setbacks in the financial systems and they have a lot more requirements, and we just aren't able to provide that with the type of organization we are. So.
Okay. Anybody got anything else? Okay, we got a gentleman over there.
Yeah, we've heard a little bit about the new license plates or stickers that are going to be coming next year for golf carts, and I just wondered, I realize and I appreciate the reasoning for security and keep those out of the park that want to bring golf carts in that don't belong here or whatever reasons. Could you maybe give a little more detail as to what that plate would be, or would it be a sticker, or how would it be different than what we have now?
Sure. Your statement is correct that part of the reason we're doing it is for illegal entry for carts, but that really is that is only a part of the reason. There are a number of other issues that we're attempting to resolve with it, and consistency in the appearance and consistency in placement are two big factors that that allow us to better manage that system. So that being said, the plates will be, I believe, 6 inches high and 8 inches wide. They'll have a Sandy Pines logo on them. There is online, if you have access to online, there is a booklet that is available to look at, and you can have one printed out as well with the details of it. But those plates, I believe, are being ordered this coming week, and we expect to receive those in July sometime, so that in August some folks can start putting it on if they want to. But yeah, there'll be a nice looking plate. There's going to be 4 plates we found out this week. 8 plates, 4 carts, 8 plates that are going to be 12 inches wide because their site numbers have a half behind them. So 83 and a half, 84 and a half. They wouldn't fit on the same plate. So there's always oddities one way or another. But does that answer your questions? I believe so. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good, thanks. Anything else? Yes.
At one of the meetings, they talked about there was a concern if you had a trailer attached to your golf cart. Has that been resolved as far as a plate for that, or?
Not sure. I do remember that coming up, and I have not talked to Rod or Steve about how they are planning to address that, or if they are. But clearly, it would be an obstruction to the rear plate on the cart. So I'll make a note of that, and I'll find out.
Thank you.
Sure. Do any of our board members have any questions of them? No? No? Don, you got anything? Go ahead, Bob.
In reference to the monthly statements and the payment, because there is so little interest available on your checking account or savings account, if you just make a payment in excess of the amount due and have a credit balance, then they work off the credit balance in your account, and you won't have to bother with making a monthly payment. Just another suggestion.
You can also, if you go into the building, you can put that on your charge card without paying a 3% processing fee and leave a balance on your account that way. So you don't need your checkbook if you want to put it on your credit card and earn a couple miles or something too. And by the same token, you can leave a plus balance in your account that they can work off of.
That brings up a point. Some people ask us, why do we have to charge a 3% fee? Well, we get charged 2.9%, so we basically pass that through. And I believe last year we had about $50,000 of charges toward credit card, online credit card, or I'm sorry, yeah, it was online credit card charges, our payments. So it can add up very significantly. We don't look at the 3% as a source of revenue, but we do look at it as a source of cost of doing business. So we pass it through. Go ahead.
If you bank with the United Bank of Michigan, you can simply tell them what it is you want them to do, and they'll send the checks on a regular basis, and you don't have to worry about that.
Okay, good. There's another thought. Good plug for United Bank. Don't. It's a good job, George. Thanks. Anything else? There we have a gentleman in the back that's got something.
Will there be any enforcement for the no wake zone in the lakes?
This year, for the first time, we have a gentleman that is also employed by Ottawa County Sheriff Department Water Patrol, and his name is Nick. He will be on the water more often. That's going to be his job this summer. So we're hoping to have a better control of not only no wake zones, but better control of legal boats on the water and those kind of things. So good point. Yes. Yeah.
I have a question regarding, I think they call it wakeboarding on the lake.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that dangerous, not dangerous, but not good for our shores, especially the retaining walls?
Anything that makes a wake is detrimental. Wind, other boats, they're all detrimental to lakeshore erosion and high water. So with respect to wakeboard boats, I had some conversations with an association of wakeboard boats, and was told that at minimum wakeboard boats should be in 15 feet of water, and should be 200 feet from shore. That really pretty much tells us that wakeboard boats at Sandy Pines, under those circumstances, would be tough to have on the lake. But we do have several of them, and at this point, I think Rules looked at it a couple of years ago and decided that they were not going to, and I agree with it, not going to pick on a class of boats, because they're all pretty expensive boats as well. But the thing that exacerbates the problem right now is the high water level, so that's tough. But one of our board members sent me a video of the effects of the waves on the shoreline of the North Shore on a day when there were no other boats out other than a wake boat. And yes, they came over the wall. About 3 days later, we had about a 15-mile-an-hour wind from the south, so I went over to that same area and took video and sent it to him of water coming over that wall. So it's not just boats.
Okay, thank you.
It is also wind. So, anything else? Oh, yep, we got one here. Okay.
Understand your ballot proposal. The death of a spouse. Now my wife passed away, and say thy son happens to me, my daughter can become a member. Is that right?
Well, the ballot is only, the ballot proposal that's on the bylaws right now only includes the two words that are added are trust instrument.
That's how I got trust.
Yeah, and that just says that that's one way that you can pass you can pass your membership from one to the other. That being said, the rule that was changed this year that the board had before them about, I think it was in May, stated that you could put your membership in trust, and you would be the grantor, let's say, and when the last surviving grantor passes away, then you have one designated trustee. That trustee is who Sandy Pines will work with. Sandy Pines doesn't recognize associate members in terms of doing business with the membership. So then at that point, they would become the member of record for a period of time. Then Sandy Pines, what's changed now is that from that point of the point of the passing of the last grantor, they have 180 days to get it into somebody's name or another trust, so that we can close out the trust and have a continuance of either the same family or that it would be sold. Yeah.
Speaking of deaths, reminded me, I've been thinking about this a long time. We know a lot of people by sight or first names, but we don't know their last names. And so when the footprints prints a death, we don't know, if we really know that person or not. I was wondering if it's possible, like when people give information as far as somebody died, that they could include a picture and have that printed too?
That's a good point. I'll ask Kathy about that on next week and see if everybody has a photo on file here because of our membership cards, right? Might not be the greatest photo in the world, but at least we could use that if they don't want to supply one. Yeah. All right. Yes, over there we got one, Don.
Excuse me.
In connection with that statement, has they ever put together a directory of the park of who's where and what? So then that would help you identify, and with people moving in and out, sort of keeps you up to date with who they are and what?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. And in the past, Sandy Pines has attempted to do that. They've had, where the issue comes in is keeping it current, one thing, and the other end is a privacy issue. Some people just didn't want their name listed and their site number and that kind of thing. So at this point, we're not doing any of that, but it may change.
Just another thought, if you're going to do a directory, there's people that come in new every year, and like you said, people moving. You could just do a notebook and update every year with pages.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
People out, people in.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess I don't understand that privacy thing. Quite honestly, if you are a member here, you are an owner. I am an owner, you are an owner. And since we are both owners, I have a right to know who my fellow owners are. Now, I don't have to know what they had for lunch, but I ought to be able to know what their name is and what site they live at. And if they are willing to share other information, that would be fine. If they aren't, that's fine too. But at minimum, we ought to be able to know who lives where, what their name is. And that's just a matter of, that's because we are in one group. We are owners of this place, and we have a right to know who's all involved.
It's a valid argument, and may bring about some change at some point. But like with everything else, we would want to talk to our insurance company and our attorney before we do anything like that. Have any of you gone to the new park and garden yet? Yeah. Oh, yeah. That turned out great, and that's kudos to our maintenance department and the skill sets that we have available to us there. And they're doing very well in there with their first year. The revenue is up. Maybe it's because the weather hasn't been so good, so people go over there to spend money. But whatever the reason, we're pleased with that. So I think we have a question over here.
Yeah, I do. I was going back and forth because I was forgetting old age, you know. Why is not the weekend flyer on the TV on 27? Hasn't it been in the past on the Sandy Pines channel?
Yeah.
I haven't been able to get it. I can get all the
should be,
27
yeah.
channels. I
Yeah.
can get all the 27 numbered channels.
Yeah.
But many of them are just blank Sandy Pines.
Oh. No, they should be active. Okay, we'll check on it though. But yeah, I think it's 27.1 is the information channel, and that weekend flyer should be on that. It's not. All right. Yeah. Okay. That's 27.4 is not on either. I know that they were working with some issues with that this week yet. It's been a challenge getting that switched over, but we'll have. I'll talk to Josh about that and see once where we are. So the real estate channel and the weekend flyer. So is that whole channel that not working? You're saying? Just says Sandy Pines on it. Yeah. That works. Well, thanks for bringing that up. It's one of the forms of communication we want to be on top of. So we're looking to improve it all the time, but it's got to be up in order to improve it. So, thank you. Anyone else?
I just want to give a plug for Park and Garden. My wife and I helped Jack with the inventory this spring, and if you haven't been in there, you'd be amazed at all the products that are for sale in Park and Garden. You ought to go check it out.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been good. Nice job in setting it up, if you guys were part of that. Good deal. Yep, we got one over there. I'll get you right after he's done. Hold on, he's going out. Hang on.
Has there been any talk or any complaint about the excessive noise of some of the boats on the water? We've had, they got what they call port exhaust, where they can run the exhaust out of the back of the boat instead of underneath the water. On the weekends, it gets pretty monotonous from 8:30 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, 2 days a week, and it's rather monotonous, and it's kind of, I don't know if it's bothers a lot of people, but on our end, we've got a lot of people, because they make the turn by us, and there's a lot of, it's very, very noisy, and I just wonder if anybody else has said anything about that.
I haven't heard anything specific about it, Raj, but I'm over in 6, and I hear the boat, the one in particular that's pretty loud. But I'll ask Keith if they've had any complaints on it, and then Nick can check out on that thing. I don't think we have a noise level requirement, do we? So I'm not sure that without that there's much that we can do. But hang on just a second.
Yeah. I think the
hang
state
on a
of
second,
Michigan.
Bob. Hang on a second, Bob. I got a gentleman right here before you.
Okay.
Just a lot of people, if they're not getting all their channels, they need to reprogram their TV and redo the channels, and that'll pull up a lot of the other ones.
There you go. I don't know if you heard it or not, but this is going back to the last question about the channels not being up. If you're not getting all the channels, rescan your channels again, and in my case, I scanned it like 4 times, and I was still only getting 88 channels. So we had to go out and buy another TV because we were at the limit. So for $124, we got another TV. It's a smart TV, and we got all 156 channels. So go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I believe the state of Michigan, for all inland waters in the state, has a state requirement that all watercraft have to be mufflered, and the cutout switch on those boats would be illegal on Sandy Pines.
Okay. All right. You say it's a state law? Yeah. On inland waters? Inland waters. All right. I'll touch base with Keith on that. And those were called, if I remember right, those were called Captain's Choice pipes. Thank you, Bob. If that's a state law, then we ought to have. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So I just pulled up our channel listing. 27.1 is Sandy Pines Information, News, and Ads. 27.2 are special programming and meetings. 27.3 is our sales listings, and 27.4 is the channel lineup. So if it's not showing on there, like Jean said, try reprogramming or that, but those are the channel lineup for those. And then I'll have Josh, we'll look at it in the office and see what's going on and look at it from our end too. So, what's that? It's just the screen. Okay, and we'll look at that with our...
Before they leave, I want to quick say thank
Developer.
you to the volunteers that did the fishing. I never seen so many kids' smiling faces, whether they caught a fish or whether they didn't. Thank you, Roger. And any other volunteers. God, thank you.
For sure. For sure. Great program. If you got any old or new fishing poles you want to get rid of, bring them over to Raj's place. He'll make sure they're getting a young child. So it's a great program. Yes.
Actually, the staff here at Sandy Pines is very friendly. But to let you know the type of people we have a lifeguard down there, Austin. We request him every time. And one little kid on one end of the dam there caught a fish. I think it was his granddad stood in back. He didn't turn to his granddad. He yelled down to the end of the dam, "Austin!" And you could tell the kid loved him, of course, and then Austin just loves the kids. But that's the type of people I think we have working here. And we do thank you for coming and helping with the fishing.
Thanks, Rod. Is this the same Austin that's running our camera today? Yeah. Get a little plug for Austin, too. So. All right, good deal. Anything else from anyone? What else we got going on here? We had a new pavilion put in over by the flea market that I believe the chapel's used a couple times already for the pancake thing, and I'm assuming that that's working out pretty well. We're going to put a clone of that flea market or that pavilion down in Phase 3. That pavilion down there won't have I don't believe it's slated to have a room like this, a storage room, but that Phase 3 pavilion has been around for a long time, and the condition of it was very close to what the flea market pavilion was, so that will be replaced coming up. We're currently looking at, we had surveys done this week that were done for the purpose of looking at a crossing between Phase 6 and Phase 3, a safe crossing. 26th Street is just becoming more and more busy with a direct line of traffic going, from the Hopkins area all the way to Granville. So we see a lot of traffic in there, and God has been kind to make sure we have not had any serious accidents there at that point, but we believe that it's a priority to assure that we have a better security, yes, and that will also serve that purpose, but that we will also make it safer for folks crossing between the two. Right now, we're looking at all the options, and that's why the survey was done. Whether it would be a bridge over top or whether it's going to be a tunnel underneath, that's not known yet. But that's a project that I think you'll see happen in the next 12 to 18 months. There'll be some decisions made there and some money spent on that project. 136, a lot of people ask me, when are we ever going to get that paved? I've been working on it for 7 years, and I think there's people that worked on it before me. But I can tell you that Salem Township is a willing participant, and they have been. Monterey, not so much, and they have their own reasons for it. So it's been a challenge for us to work a relationship back with them, and we have a good relationship with Monterey. However, they don't have the millage that Salem Township does as well, so their funding accessibility is not as good. So for about the last 4 years, we have said that we would commit a partial funding of that road up to the Phase 3 gate. And things were moving, we thought, progressively pretty well, and still Monterey dragging their feet a little bit. But I got a call this spring from the supervisor at Monterey, and he just said, you know what, we're not going to do it. There are just not enough houses on that road for us to put money into it. So I appreciated that, because for 6 years they've been saying maybe, maybe, maybe. So I thanked him for his honesty. Went back to to Jim Pitch who's a supervisor at Salem, and he was willing to fund half of that half-mile road that would be to just past the property line of our Phase 3. And if we would pitch in for the other half, which was about $200,000. We were set to do that until Allegan County Road Commission required Salem and Monterey to put in about $500,000 worth of culverts, I think it was, this year. Excuse me. So it got held off again. This year was going to be construction year, about $120,000, and the next year paving about $80,000. We got the prices from Road Commission, but once again, Road Commission, or the Drain Commissioner, I should say, superseded anything that Salem or Monterey had on their slate. So once again, the road was put off, and now this year, Salem has to vote again on the renewal of that millage. So it's kind of held off until we know if there's a renewal on that at this fall. But I believe that Salem is a strong partner in helping us get that done. So if you're in Phase 3, take heart. It will happen. It will happen. You got anything else?
Yeah, I have a question. I know we want to stay in compliance with any of the agencies that are outside of the park. I'm just wondering if the board members or yourself, Jean, have wondered about compliance as far as the health department. A lot of times we have people selling things that are food items that are either during the sales, you know, when we have our garage sales. I'm just wondering if we're making sure that the members know what those regulations are so we don't get a surprise visit and be fined for not being compliant.
Good question. We do not monitor or manage any food in the park other than our leases and the food that we sell, that Sandy Pine sells. Each of the people who do sell food are required to buy a permit from the health department. And the health department does come here quite often. We're well known to them, and they are committed to making sure that people are properly permitted. So if you do find somebody that's out in the park that's selling food alongside the road, I would simply ask them if they have the permit from the health department, then you know whether they've been checked or not. But no, we don't monitor that.
I guess my concern is, as a member, maybe that there are members that just aren't aware that the permit is necessary. Maybe as a form of gesture from the board or from someone that be stated somewhere, that everyone can be communicated that, do you know you can't sell items unless you have a permit?
Yep.
That might be helpful for them, because I know even kids selling lemonade stands, things like that, it's important that they know that we're in compliance.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry?
Have them display the permit.
Yeah.
Instead of selling food.
Yep.
So when people walk up, they can see the permit and say, okay.
Yep.
When you get a permit, you're given what the regulations are in specific things when you request a permit.
Okay. Anything else?
I'm still with this gentleman who brought up the question in terms of knowing our neighbors. In Florida, we live in a park very similar to Sandy Pines. It was started the same time, and the only main difference is it's 55 and older, so maybe that makes a difference in the privacy issue. However, we have three things that kind of help knowing people. We have name tags that we wear in meetings like this and at our coffee clutch, which we have every Monday morning. And Then you get to visualization of the face with the name, which is helpful. We have two kinds of directories. We have one that is what we call the telephone directory, and it's updated every year, and it's sold to us for a whole $2. And it has the names listed alphabetically. It will have their Florida address, their cell phone, their address up north with their residential phone. And then we have what we call the pictorial directory. We have like Life Touch come in, old-time school pictures, this type of thing. And so they're listed, the people are in there listed alphabetically. And when they come in, you can also buy pictures if you wish to have them for your relatives. Those things do help. And if you want to send a sympathy card to the family for a loss, then the name and address is there. We have about a third of our resort that's Canadians. So, we have, and the other thing that we do, we have state get-togethers, like we have a Michigan get-together and the bigger states, and that is nice. So you get to see all the people that want to come and from your state, and it's just a fun day.
Good, thank you. Your program sounds a lot like we have at our church, so, and it works well there. So. Rod, Birch is here with us. Rod was very instrumental and spent hundreds of man-hours on working on the golf cart registration program with Steve DeArmond and a number of other people on staff, but they spearheaded it. Rod, do you have anything that, or do you folks have any questions of Rod? We had a couple questions about the plates and size and so on, but if you got anything.
Right now, we're trying to figure out, we did some measurements on the carts, and because of the 12-inch rule that Keith came up with, we're going to try and, I have to get with Keith yet on that, but we have to see if we can get the rule changed to the height of the floorboard, as you suggested, because we're finding out that some of the carts are a little bit lower, and they're not going to be 12 inches, so we felt maybe we should change that. Also, they want to look at how high the plate can be. That's the other thing that we're going to look into, or we're going to work on right now. They've ordered the plates. I think now it's probably going to be around a month before the lady says that usually takes around 30 days, but we are going to get some prototypes from her. I'm also working on getting prototypes for the brackets to hold the plates, and we're going to do some testing with those brackets. We also ordered a few other ones just in case, and we're going to do some testing on different carts just to see if, we need to make any changes or anything. Right now, that's about all we have going. Still working on some of the other things that we may run into, because we aren't sure exactly what kind of mounting we're going to want to do. Some people are concerned about their plates being stolen, so we've looked up some. They're you can't take them off. You have to have a special tool to take them off.
Tamper-proof.
Yeah, tamper-proof. And we've looked at some other options. Also, I went down and talked to Jack, and Jack has the numbers for the tamper-proof mounting bolts for the plate itself, not for the bracket yet. We're still looking for those. And that right now is what we're currently working on.
Okay, good. I recall from last week's meeting that Superior made the offer that if you bring your plate, your license plate, and your mounting bracket, they will mount it for free Scott's, prior to that, Scott's Golf mentioned that he would mount them as well, and there was a small fee with that. But in both cases, they will be using tamper-proof fasteners. So you might want to have that in mind if you don't want to monkey with it yourself. So we got one over here. Who's got a mic? Oh. Thanks, Rod. You might need a microphone again to answer a question.
Because the weekend flyer wasn't on TV last week, I was not aware of that meeting. So I have just a couple questions. I understand there's going to be a $7 fee for the license. Is that going to be a one-time fee or a yearly fee?
That's a one-time fee that costs us $6.79. We're passing that through at $7 per plate. And then after that, each year you will buy the sticker just like you do now,
Okay,
but
that's
it'll
my
be a
other
different
question.
sticker. Yeah.
Okay. Then, when we got the things on the back of our cards to just hold up to get in the park.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be a one-time fee too. That's what we were all told by
No,
the ranger
no,
station.
you were never told that.
Oh, yes, we were.
No, no.
And
that
it
was an
ended up
annual
not
fee.
being a one-time fee.
No, that was an annual fee, a $5 fee.
While we're still on that subject, could you please explain why it's for replacement and what type, and it said like replacement for damaged is $100 per plate. Could you explain why it's so much to have those replaced, and how are you distinguished when it's so damaged enough to have to be replaced? Like if a corner is bent or whatever, what are we going to, is there going to be a specific outline of exactly when you absolutely have to have it replaced and pay that $100 and why it's so much?
The reason it's so much is to eliminate duplication of plates. And so if you come in and you say, my plate's damaged, I need another plate, and we said, okay, it's $15. You could get a third cart. And that's what's happening inside the park. Some of our enemies are the worst enemies that are in the park with respect to the reasons for what we're doing here. The other thing is that they have a setup fee of $225 for every time they have to set up for plates. So we want to limit the number of plates we get. But I think the fact is, for most people, for the large amount of people, we aren't going to get our plates stolen. And if it gets damaged, you bring it in, you turn it in. They're going to be very conscious of and they have a lot of, they being the staff, has discretion in the circumstances. If you come in 2 or 3 times a year, they probably have a little more discretion, or a little more concern about how many times you're coming in for a new plate. If you have been here for a long period of time and they don't see you unless you have a legitimate issue with a damaged plate, chances are that they will turn that plate in and they'll order you another plate, and it'll be $15, isn't it? Or $7?
Well, it depends, because the reason for most of this is a setup fee. Like Gene said, it's $225. Now, it depends on how many you order, and they're going to order once a year at the very end of the season, and they're going to see what that cost is going to be. And we aren't sure yet, because things change, and the less you order, the more they charge. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to look into a little bit more. The other thing is we have to remember that every time we do this, it's going to cost the park money. And the other thing that we really need to focus on is people not getting more than 2 carts worth of plates. If it gets stolen and you go into the PSO office, have them make out a report on it, and they will, like Gene says, they're going to have the discretion. But people have to understand that Steve is keeping a history of this. So if it happens more than certain number of times, their discretion is going to probably go away. But it's been something that we've worked on and worked on and worked on, tried to get the cost down, but they won't budge on setup fee, and you know, it's just something that's out of our hands now. Well,
I just wanted to know because it just seems like an awful amount for the minority of people who are probably doing it compared to the majority who's going to be suffering to pay that fee if they have to replace it. That's all I was trying
well, the fee for the lost or damaged, or not damaged, but lost or stolen, the reason that's so high is because, you know, some people like to circumvent the rules, and so therefore they can have more carts. That's why we have to almost have a little discretion in what we're doing. That's something that's the reason for the higher price. As far as going with the damage part, that would be more or less, I believe, up to the PSO officer. Whether it's damaged enough so that he can't see it, or if you don't, you know, you want it to look nice, so you know you might want to do it yourself. But it really would depend on the PSO officer as far as the damage goes. Okay.
Yes, yep. Rod, a while ago, a question came up about if you and Steve had come up with a answer to if I pull a cart behind my trailer. Did you guys do anything with that yet?
Well, one of the PSO officers has a trailer, which we didn't really we didn't figure into that because we didn't think about it. Right now, we're trying to figure out what we're going to do about that. We haven't figured it out yet. We're going to still look at some things that we can do. If it's a trailer, and he said that it's large enough so you wouldn't be able to see the plate. So we're going to have to look into that and see if we're going to have to order another plate for trailers. We just have to look at that more. That was kind of a surprise to us. We didn't even think about it at the time. So a lot of people have come up with different things that have helped us, you know, figure out what we do need and what we don't, and what we need to look into. Anybody else? Oh, it's your site number. It'd be your site number, yes. Mm-hmm.
Question about that too.
The other thing is most all this is in the booklet on the website. They're right now because I talked to Josh, and he said that because these are running 2 hours, he has to split this, so it takes him a little more time to get it set up so that he can put it on the station. But we're trying to get it out to as many people as we can get it out to, and everything that's in that booklet is what we've worked on. We've worked on, it's many, many, many changes. I think I've got probably 13 different changes that we have gone through in that booklet and had to change, so it's been a long, long season. That's for sure, a long winter. Anybody else?
Yes, a question. On getting the plates originally, are you ordering 2 sets of plates for every site?
No, we're going to order 2 sets of plates for every cart. Right now they have a spreadsheet out, and it lists everybody that has a cart and how many carts they have, and that's what they're going to order. If somebody goes and buys another cart, you know, if you wanted to get a second cart or something, then at the end of you'd have to come in and tell them, and they would put a temporary plate on that cart once you got it, and then you would use that until Steve can order another set of plates for that, and then they'll probably come in the first part of the season.
Okay. So. And my second question is, there was a little concern just in discussions about the placement of the license plates on the back as far as our kids and passengers getting off and on our cart. don't want it to be a danger thing as far as somebody cutting themselves or whatever.
Well, what we've done is we've made up some brackets that exactly match that plate. So, and they're not plastic, they're metal, but that makes it thick enough so that if you are really still concerned about somebody getting cut, you can put this, it's like a plastic that you put on doors that go around, and that will,
Like a guard type thing.
Yeah, it's like a guard, like
Okay.
a door guard, I
Okay.
think is what they call it.
What about mopeds?
Pardon?
What about mopeds?
At first, we had started to do that, and now they've decided that they, because, I believe it's because of the state requiring, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna get golf carts done first, but isn't there something about them having to have state license plates on? Yeah, I believe that that's what Keith was saying, that they have to have a state of Michigan license plate on them. So, right, yeah. And what the other thing that they might have to do is we would have to have some type of a sticker that would be non-removable, tamper-proof, that would have to go on the moped.
In regards to the trailer issue, if we have 2 license plates on each golf cart, I don't think we pull a trailer 100% of the time, so under those circumstances, they do have the proper ID in the front that can be seen visibly, so just for your committee's purpose, I don't know if you really need to have license plates on trailers that isn't used 100%.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to Keith about that today. I'm going to have a meeting with him because I've got some other things I need to go over with him on this. I guess it would have to be up to Keith, wouldn't it? I'll make a recommendation to him and see what he says, but that would be
I'm going to just make it worse yet, or put a little comical sense in it. What about the honey wagons?
Well, I think with them, usually you can see the plates because they're low enough.
I'd just like to ban those. I've never had to clean up after one, but I know people who have. Okay, if you haven't been here since the beginning, or maybe once or twice in between now and when we began, there are plans for the North Shore Center building up there and some renderings, so take a look at those. There's sign-ups for 5 ice cream dairy dip certificates that'll be coming, so make sure you and your spouse sign up for those. And we have 2 sponsors today, Bachheisen Landscaping and BHG Insurance out of Door. And we thank both of them for sponsoring days like today. It's been very good. Also, if you haven't been here since the beginning, we had a few candidates and current board members that will be running on the ballot this August. And they each had a couple words to say, and we thank them. So we're just to reiterate who they are. Darlene DeWitt, raise your hand, please, Darlene, and Larry Munger, and Chad Ostrom, and that's it. That's all we had. All right, good. So at this point, I'm open for some conversation or questions if anybody's got anything. Good.
Gene, I was wondering, I heard that you are going to be retiring. Is there already looking into somebody for your replacement? And who votes for your replacement? Does the whole membership or just our board?
I'll give that to Don, Sheila.
Yeah, that question came up a little bit earlier. There is a committee that is going to head that search. It's made up of the 4 officers of the Board of Directors, and we have a timeline that hopefully this will be accomplished by September 1. And so what will happen is we'll create a short list of maybe 3 or 4 people. Perhaps, typically you get anywhere from 25 to 30 that may submit a resume. And then once we get the short list, they will be interviewed by the board, and also the staff will have the opportunity to interact with them. As soon as that decision is made.
Dwayne was just asking if there was going to be any food served out of the new North Shore Center, and the answer is no. There will be no retail food in there. There will be a warming kitchen in there. It's for catered food or that kind of thing. But most of the food that is the food service that's run by lessees will remain in the retail center. The food truck program seems to be going pretty good. This is the 3rd year on that. We have a couple new trucks coming in this year, and we had one that had to bow out for health reasons, and so I think it's been well received, and those that are coming appear to be enjoying the members here at Sandy Pines and the business that they get from that. So to answer the question, there won't be any retail food in that building, but there will continue to be food available. It's one of the original drafts of the development of that area showed a retail food separated from all the buildings, mainly to keep the rodents out of all the other buildings. So that's still a potential. It's not shown on this master plan at this point, but that holds the potential that there could be some retail in that area at some point in time. You got another question?
Before when you talked about that, you were talking about food where golf carts actually could drive up and pick their food up. But that's not going to be there, which is fine, but...
You're right, Dwayne. When we got into, actually the Dairy Dip was interested in moving over there, and that's what Dwayne's referring to. The Dairy Dip would have really liked to have been on that end, and we looked at that potential early on in the development of this building. However, the breaches to the safety of the storm shelter situation at this point were one issue, and the other was that it's a very expensive building to put a business in. The retail business is a tough business when it comes to food. If any of you are in that, you know that. So the cost of the square footage was not going to work well with having any retail food in there. So that was kind of poo-pooed after quite early on, probably within the first couple months of development. So good questions though. Anything else? Yeah. Wait for the microphone.
Thank you.
So we can get you on tape.
I was just looking at the plans, and I'm wondering, is there any place in the park other than the new bathrooms in Phase 3 that are truly handicap accessible? Do we have any handicap showers in any of the other phases other than Phase 3? Because I looked at the plans, it looks like those are just going to be bathrooms. It doesn't look like there's any showers in there in the new building. Mm-hmm. So are there any other handicap truly accessible bathrooms other than Phase 3?
That's my understanding, that every CC has handicap showers and restroom facilities. So I'm not sure what you're referring to, but yeah.
Okay, I guess I guess the showers and the CC I go to, I guess it
Yeah.
would be a bit of a stretch to get in there with a wheelchair, but
Yeah.
I
Well,
suppose.
this is one, you're exactly right. This actual CC right here is one of those prime examples. You know, they built that CC when people were all about 140 pounds. You know, so you have to back into it now. But at the same time, any renovations that happen within these will have to be completely compliant. So CC 11, CC 12, CC 13, the two new CCs you mentioned in phase 3. These won't have CC. This new building will not have a CC in it because the expectation is that when an indoor pool is put up, that will be a CC, and they'll have full shower facilities in it.
Yeah, that's what I thought, maybe next year when you put up the new pool, that.
Yeah. You got the money, baby. We'll get her done.
That then we'd have those bathrooms. Just wanted to start some rumors there.
Okay, thank you. We can't get your voice on tape without
I had a question related to what she was just talking about, if I can remember what it was now. The CCs, at least on this end, and I haven't been to all of them, have no seating availability in the handicap stalls. And for some people, that can be a real issue, being able to stand long periods of time. There was something else, but I lost it already. So, you know, my sometimers shows up.
Well, yeah, if it comes up, bring it back. Yes, you're right. There are some CCs that do not have seats, and I know that that concern has been expressed previously, and Ben has looked at that. They have not found a safe way to install those at this point. So, but you're right. It was poorly designed. In some of the CCs, they have a seat inside of them, and that works great. So, thanks for the question. Yeah.
Because through the FEMA grant, we're putting this new building up. Originally, when we tore the Golden Onion down, we were looking at a price of, what, $250 or something to do both of them for 10 years or whatever. But I guess what I'm asking, and a lot of us would like to see the pool back, because you've got the other building now. What would it cost to have the pool put in to increase the dues? If we want, do you have an idea?
Yeah, but it's very rough, so don't hold me to it. I will start by saying that our estimates early on were blown out of the water by the economy being so well and contractors being busy. So, for instance, the pool that we were looking at putting in phase 2, the outdoor pool, we were given indications a year and a half, 2 years ago, that would be about $250,000, all done. Now it's about $600,000. So the indoor pool over there, including the CC. Now CC, all by itself, like the phase 3 CCs, those were each about $1 million. So you can throw $1 million on the ground first for a CC included into that building. The pool depends on what size that's decided on and what type it is, if it's a walk-in pool or, you know, those, and if it's a lap pool or those kind of things. Plus the building, we're thinking $4.5 million. So at $4.5 million, if you had $2 million in cash to put toward it, and you had assessments for the balance of it, we have 2,161 memberships. So every $100 will bring in $16,000 a year. So that would be about a 15-year assessment. I'm doing Dutch math as we speak here, so be careful. But I'm thinking maybe $220 for 10 years would get that building paid for completely. That's with $2 million down. So that's about what I'm thinking we'd probably be at.
You said 210 for 15 years?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Good questions. Good stuff coming up. Just have to milk the cow a little bit, and then you guys start talking. So that's good. Yeah.
Yesterday there was a question. Go ahead. Oh, I'm saying, yesterday there was a question of whether you were considering replacing this building, and you said it was a rumor. But does that imply that there are people who want to replace this building, or what?
No, I don't know where the rumor started. I can tell you operationally what we're looking at with this building, and that is that the same year we had an engineer come in and look at the Golden Onion building, we had them look at this one, because they're both about the same year. What we were told at that time was this building structurally, at least the bottom part of the building, because it's been added on so many times, the bottom part of the building was fine. The upper part, everything above the ceiling, they recommended that we take off. At that time, we had structural drawings done, a draft of it done, not detailed drawings. And then we got that priced, and the price that we got estimate on that was to replace the top was about $300,000. Today, that would probably be $450,000, $500,000. That will likely need to be done because of the amount of leaks that we have in this building, and it's so susceptible to ice. So that's one option. The other option is replacement. We have a CC in the front, like we talked about a little bit ago, that is really tight, and it's compliant with handicap rules. But is it a perfect situation? No. But all in all, it's all pretty good shape yet. There is no the answer was there is no plan, and that is true. There is no plan. But I think so we don't get caught with our pants down again like we did with the Onion. We need to keep looking at this. So this building in particular, I would like to see an engineer come back in again, structural engineer, and assure us that we're still in good shape here. If we are, then I think the next question would be, is it worth putting another top on it? If the bottom's is good, then I would say yes, it's worth putting another top on, because I would think that it's still, to replace this building, we're probably looking at $2.5, $3 million at this point. So it would be, to put $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, put $1 million in it, still even would be preferable to starting from the ground up. So at some point in time, there's going to be a change, I'm sure, but there's no plan yet. But we are vigilant on making sure that this building and all buildings are checked occasionally to make sure that we can get it on a long-range plan financially, so that we're not surprised by it. So the rumors probably came from the fact that that we've not been shy to the fact that we're saying that we're keeping an eye on this, but we're keeping an eye on every building. We have 26 buildings in the park, right. And so we just what we did to the retail building this year probably added 30, 35 years of useful life to that building, maybe more. So they're worth putting money into. I would say I hope that they do that. So.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Anything else?
Because you're retiring, have they been looking for somebody to replace you?
Yes, that process is underway, as I said earlier, there's a committee made up of the 4 officers of the Board of Directors, and we've been meeting and getting information together. We have a timeline of, hopefully that'll be accomplished by the end of the summer, September 1. That's our goal.
How do they vote on that? Do we get to vote on that or not?
No, members do not vote on that. That is a responsibility of the board to hire the park president. And so the board has put together that committee, and the committee then will assemble a list of, really we call that a short list. There'll be probably 3, maybe 4 people on that list, and they will be interviewed by the committee and the board, and they'll have the opportunity to meet with staff, and then based upon all of that information that comes back, the board will make a decision and hire the park president. And that's according to our that is per the bylaws.
Okay, but do we get to meet with that person, and so we can give our opinion to the board?
Well, that depends on the process. When we get near the end of this process, whether or not we would have a time for members to come in. But typically, the recommendation comes from the committee to the board, and then the board makes a decision.
But I just, the last couple of years, I was very, very disappointed with him, and I hope we find somebody that's better than him.
Well, of course, our committee and the board thinks much differently than you do. So, yeah. Yeah.
Because what he did to me 3.5 years ago was unacceptable.
Yeah. Well, this is not the time and place to get into some personal issues.
It's an open phase.
Yeah, I know it,
And
but.
you're just brushing it under the table, and I don't
Yeah,
appreciate it.
okay, all right.
I'm sure other people are
All right.
agree to me.
Thank
So
you.
I'd like to be able to talk to somebody about it sometime.
Yeah.
So whether that be you or the board or whatever.
Yeah, you may contact.
I can't wait till he
Yeah,
leaves.
yeah,
And I'm
okay.
not the only one. I know
Okay.
that.
I think you're in a very, very small minority.
I don't think so. You
So,
need to ask the people.
okay.
Ask the people.
Okay, enough has been said on that topic.
Yeah, I know. You don't want to rush it under the table.
Okay. Any other questions for? Yes.
Just to be clear, so like when somebody's running for the board, and when somebody's running for the board, we get to do meet the candidates and ask them questions and stuff. We don't get to do that with the people running for the president's place? We don't get to do that? Oh.
You have to realize in that process, sometimes there are members that will throw their hat in the ring to be interviewed, but they don't want that to be known publicly because of their current employment status. I've gone through this a number of times in my career, and hire someone at a management level, and they will probably ask that, please do not put my name to the public, because it will have an impact on my career. So if we have some excellent candidates, and they would say to us, look, unless I'm going to be the one, I really don't want my name let out to the public. So we will certainly honor that if we get that request.
I think it would be helpful to the members as a whole that once that committee has determined the criteria for that position, that you give an information to the members so they understand that you definitely are making sure that the person is most qualified and that they meet your criteria. I think that would be helpful, and it may answer a lot of their questions so they know that who those members are on that committee that are actually from the board, and then they present the short list to the board as a whole. I think if they know that that's how it's done, and then what the criteria is, I think you'll find there'll be a little bit better understanding amongst the members.
First of all, the number one guideline is going to be the job description. And after that, you have to determine whether or not that person really fits well at Sandy Pines. Will it fit well with the culture of Sandy Pines? What kind of background experience they have? And again, when you get down to a short list, we will honor someone that says, please do not put my name in the public. You have to understand that we're going to follow the bylaws. The bylaws gives the board the authority, the only authority to hire a park president, and we're going to follow the bylaws.
Thank you, Don. And my only side note to this is that I appreciate all of the comments that you folks have made here and even today and in the past about your appreciation for the work that I have done here. But as you can see, not everybody's happy. And that remains true. But sir, I will tell you that my office is open, and if you ever want to talk about what you think happened 3.5 years ago, I'd be more than happy to talk to you anytime. No problem. And that's and I'm not saying, like I said in my resignation letter, I have not served flawlessly, but I have served faithfully, and what I believe is done, has been done for the betterment of the park. Not myself individually, not any one person individually, but for the park. So, again, if I made a mistake, I'll own up to it. But at this point, I have been blessed to be here for 7 years. I'm looking forward to what Sandy Pines has going forward, because the work is not done. As much as we've gotten finished, it's been because of great staff, great volunteers, and it has been a blessing to see things happen and get people that we needed at the right time in the right place for the right reasons. And in my opinion, that was God's hand on this place, and I believe that He truly loves this park, and it'll be here for a long time. So, anybody else got anything? Thank you.
I just want to recognize and thank everybody that serves here on committees. Everything here is volunteer. I think everybody knows that, but we have some great committees, and we have some great people that take their time and their knowledge and their ideas, and they also listen to their friends and neighbors and fellow Sandy Pine people to help us do what we do. The board does have final decisions on things, but we don't do this alone. I just want to thank people that are on the committee. I see some of my finance committee people here, and I appreciate you guys. You know that we could not do it without you. So I just want to thank everybody that keeps this park beautiful and does everything for the betterment of the park. Thanks.
Good deal. Good deal. Great. Anybody got anything they'd like to say? We have time, but if you don't have anything else, we'll break it up, and you can grab a cookie on your way out, because there's still some here. So, anybody? Well, I would just like to say once again, then, oh yeah, we got one. All right.
Not really. This is a moment of levity, perhaps.
Okay.
I want to know what the crime is that these people are in the lineup for.
Well, they all have a target on their chest, no doubt, no doubt. Well, again, I want to say thank you to you folks, first of all, for coming, and I want to thank Bachhuisen Landscaping for sponsoring, and for BHG for sponsoring this day today. We appreciate the work that they do, and I want to thank the board members that have come in here. I will tell you that in the past year, if you've been coming to these for 6-7 years, you don't see as many board members at each one of these as you have in this past year, and I appreciate that. And we've had board members in the past that have been very faithful as well, and say that because I see Raj Grinwis in the back, and I don't think he missed a meeting in the whole time he was here. And I'll tell you, it's just great to have that support. And so I just want to say thank you to them. I want to say thank you to the board candidates that are running, whether they're incumbents or not. We appreciate the fact that you care enough about the park that you want to have a part of governance of the park. And if you want to have a part of operations, then you put your application in at Kimberly's office, and we'll see if we can get you into working for us too. So. With that said, I think we'll close it up for the day, folks, and thank you very much for coming. Have a great weekend.